Good evening, everyone. Uh,
Hi.
Welcome to another live interview in the career series. And today we have Mr. Himanshu with us. First of all, very thank you, Himanshu, for doing this and taking your time out in middle of the week and being with us. Uh, Himanshu has been in the industry for about 22 years, I guess. Yeah. And he has a lot of insights to share with you today. So, right from the beginning, Himanshu, why don't you fill us about your journey as a wealth manager? Like, where did you start your career and how is it going for you right now?
Well, wealth management as a career in India is a sort of budding career.
Yes.
We are at a very interesting turn. From my perspective, it is not as if I chose this career for myself. You know, over a period of time, as I entered the work field, I got an opportunity to work with some of the brightest minds that we have in the investment management world, and this built up over a period of time, ensured that I was able to learn from the best and ensure that I'm able to offer it to the clients who really need it. So, to tell you very quickly about my journey, I am an MBA in finance from Nirma Institute of Management. Uh, and most of my life, I have been very keenly interested in finance and capital markets. The entire process of investing always excited me. The fact that you can put 100 and get back 105 or 110 is exciting per se, but the science and the craft behind this entire process is something that captivated me for long. And it happened so that, I got an opportunity to do an MBA in finance, and my first offer was in Ahmedabad. But over there, while I was interacting with somebody from ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund, the zonal head of Ahmedabad or the Gujarat state, he chose me to move to Mumbai. And as they say, the rest is history. That's how I really moved to Mumbai. And Mumbai being the epicenter of the finance and the investment management world, one thing led to the other. I started my work as a normal sales and relationship management person way back in 2001, where I got an opportunity to interact at the ground level. In those days, the investment management world was very different from the way it is today. In those days, the kind of costs that were levied on clients was very different. The framework, the extent of regulation, the overall supervision, and people's knowledge about capital market, all of these were at very different level as compared to what you see today. Today you see a big upsurge of fintechs, technical analysis softwares. Everything seems so flawless, right, and so amazing. But the point I'm trying to make is that those were the days when all this was at a very, very early stage. Uh, I served ICICI Prudential in the role of business development, but I always wanted to be an investment manager, a fund manager, which is what took me to the next opportunity in an organization called ASK Investment Managers. Today, ASK Investment Managers are one of the largest PMS providers, portfolio management services providers in the country. In those days, they had just started their operations and they were sort of picking it up. I got an opportunity to work with one of the finest investment management team as a research analyst. And as I worked as a research analyst and portfolio manager, I learned the internal tricks and trades of the equity markets, how the securities are priced, how a business is assessed, what goes on in terms of a good management quality, what differentiates good management from a bad management, what is the importance of valuation, and how critical internal research is. All these aspects I learned with my stint at investment management. And finally, after serving there for long, I moved to Franklin Templeton, which is a global, a sort of multinational asset manager. And Franklin Templeton brought the best of both worlds. They brought the international practices that are prevalent in terms of wealth management and brought it to India to fit in an Indian context. I still believe that that stint gave me a very good exposure to how world thinks about India and Indian opportunity as a whole. So I got an opportunity to work as a sales and business development person, which gave me an opportunity to interact with clients. I got an opportunity to work with investment management, where I saw the integral, the very art and craft of investment management. And then I got an exposure to the global best practices, so to say, in our investment management world. And in 2022, which is about 2 months back, I chose to move on from the world of corporate jobs and lay the foundation of my own wealth management firm. Of course, there are certain regulatory processes and etc., which you have to go through before you can officially lay the foundation of a wealth management firm. But we have already initiated that process. So I am working towards developing my own wealth management firm. So far, this industry has brought me a long way as an individual, as a professional, and I believe that the threshold at which we are, what you are going to see is much, much bigger than what we saw in the last 2 decades. So it's a great sector. And I think everybody who understands finance and has an interest in the world of investment management and wealth creation should look at this particular sector.
Exactly. It's like when you are into wealth management, it's like the uh, the excitement of making money from what you like, making more money from the money that you already have is very exciting for the young generation as well. And you coming from this backgrounds, like you coming from a sales background and then learning various, because coming from a sales background and going into wealth management, it is like you have to had to learn a lot of skills to do that, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so according to you, what are the like main skills that you learned along the way, and how did you go about them? Like, if you want to learn a skill, what is the first step?
Well, it is a very good question. First of all, what sort of skill sets lay the foundation in this and I'm going to talk about this particular business just because all my exposure pertains to this business. It is possible that the same skills may be useful in other businesses also, but I'm talking purely from the perspective of wealth management as a business. I believe there are three very crucial skills that are very important to thrive in this particular business. The first and most important to my mind is what I call the analytical skills. No matter uh, how sharp you are, if you do not put adequate diligence and a good amount of research behind your hypothesis, if you do not have the ability to test hypothesis and see whether they work or not, then you will not have anything to sell or anything to offer to your clients, right? The first important pillar of skill, which is crucial, is the analytical skills. Now, when you go within analytical skills, there are a wide variety of options possible. You could have uh, the valuation capability. You should have a good understanding of the business dynamics. You should have a good eye for good managements, etc., etc. So you are like a generalist, but with an ability to get deep into any business. You may not be the master of one trade. So, for example, if you're studying pharmaceuticals and healthcare, you do not really need to be the master of that craft because you're not going to run that business. But you have to know that business enough to be able to make a relative judgment among five options available to you. So that is an analytical skill which develops over a period of time. It requires a lot of learning ability, ability to absorb, ability to learn from the world, ability to learn from the people, and read, read, and read. It is not impractical to say that you will actually be going through 500 to 1000 most successful businesses of your time when you're looking at the stock market, right? So you need to have the eye for those different businesses and how they are actually managed. So you don't really need to go deep into everything, but you need to be able to identify good investment opportunities and be able to present and see what is the right price to be paid. The second important skill to grow in our line of business is essentially your ability to communicate. Your ability to communicate something with utmost clarity to the client without oversimplifying it. You know, you would have often heard this very common footnote in investment management uh, world, that investment risk returns are subject to market risk,
Yes.
and please read the offer document carefully before investing. This is not just a general footnote. This is a sort of healthy caution that you have to exercise even when you communicate to your clients, your colleagues. Many times, you need to understand that our business is not a business of certainties. Our business is a business of offering diligent services with insights, right? Expertise. My business is not to tell you that I'm going to give you 15% next year, because it is not we who generate that return, it is the market that generates that return. We can, at the best, be extraordinarily careful in assessing what are the risks and help you manage those risks so that even if there is a loss of capital, it is temporary and not permanent. But it is not right to assume that all the return generated is generated by you. So you need to have that humility and clarity of communication to the client, that all our insight, all our expertise is with the best intention to serve you and your investment objective, right? The moment you don't have a guaranteed product, if you have a refrigerator to sell, you go and sell a refrigerator with these features as factual. But if I go and sell my wealth management expertise to someone, it is about intention, rigor, and expertise, right? So, the second important skill to my mind, therefore, is communication. How do you communicate this to the client without oversimplifying it? Okay, you need to simplify, but do not oversimplify. You need to tell the client that there are risks. You need to make sure that the client understands what are the downsides. The third important skill is relationship skills. And it is true, but probably relationship skills work everywhere. But in our business, everything hinges around your reputation, your the trust that people repose in you, and in your model or expertise or whatever you would want to call it. And this is not about smart articulation alone. This is about ensuring that a bond of trust is so strong that a lot of communication happens on productive things which are necessary to talk about, rather than inconsequential disclaimers, right? So I would say that the analytical skills are the most important, so are the communication skills and relationship management skills. If you have a good foundation of them, then you are in principle likely to do well in the industry. And then you move to the next level where you actually learn the specific trades, tricks, and skills. Okay, the knowledge, right? And that comes with time, whether you want to be an equity analyst, a portfolio manager, a wealth manager managing a portfolio of clients, you want to be a trader, you want to be how do I call it, a dealer, whatever be your role in this particular way. If these are the basic ingredients you have, you will pick up the relevant skills, and over the period of time, things do well. Just one last thing. This is one of those businesses where age and experience is beauty. the more experience you have, the more age and gray hair you have, the more the market cycles that you have seen. And therefore, it is likely that you are likely to carry the wisdom of past cycles with you. And therefore, like you go to see a doctor, right? You don't want to see the youngest and the most smart doctor. That's not your objective. You want to see a doctor who is old enough, senior enough, has already done several surgeries, and therefore you have a reasonable expectation that this gentleman will treat me right. Investment management is something similar. If I am going to give you the savings of my life to you to manage, okay, then it is very important that I know that you have that experience and age with you. So that's a good part, in our industry. So the chances of greater success come with the time that you spend with them.
That's absolutely right. No one wants to put their money in a. Uh, no one wants to put their money in the hands of a beginner. And I guess with experience, what a lot of things come, like a lot of things like humility and uh, calmness and all those things, they come with experience only. It's like whenever you see someone young, they're really enthusiastic and they are very uh, how to put this, it's like they are very impulsive in things. So with
And yeah,
experience you learn how to handle those
handle
situations.
those things. And it is so to the people who are likely to get into this arena or have an ambition to get into this arena, there are very few businesses or very few practices where your scale as well. Okay. You have heard about large asset managers in the country like ICICI Prudential Asset Management, HDFC Asset Management, SBI Funds Management, Franklin Templeton Asset Management. Similarly, you have heard of global biggies like JP Morgan, Credit Suisse, right? These
Yes.
are entities, Blackstone, these are the entities who manage trillions of dollars. Okay. Similarly, if you look around, there will be several investment managers who will be operating at a relatively modest scale, a medium scale practice. There are investment managers who focus on certain specialty, and so they run a boutique shop. And in the same way, there are people who manage, run a practice with no more than 100 or 125 clients or 150 clients and do a very good job of it, right? So, this is a business, this is a practice where you can have different scales depending on what you want to achieve. Similarly, you can choose whether you want to be in a job, you want to be in content, you want to be in research, you want to be in sales. The sheer breadth of roles that are lying in this industry, uh, investment management compliance is a vast subject in itself, right? So the opportunities are abundant in this particular area. And today, if you look around carefully, you're a young man, if you look around in your office and ask people, how do you manage your money? Typically, people say, "Arey, हमारे पास तो उतना पैसा नहीं है." Yeah, typically people say
Yes,
that,
exactly.
I don't care, I'll figure out how to do it. And people really do not give attention and expertise to their money.
Yes.
Now, this is the stage at which India is today. Just look forward 20 years and you will realize that the size of the potential that you are seeing is humongous, right? With the kind of regulatory changes that have taken place in our country over the last 5 to 10 years, several avenues have opened up which are very friendly to the small investors investing 25,000, 2 lakhs, 1 lakh, 5 lakhs, right? And the more attention you pay to, uh, how do I call it, your money,
Yes.
the greater attention it is likely to pay to you when you need it. Okay. And it is very important for you to sow the seeds by ensuring that the money is managed well. Your spending pattern is appropriate. That money becomes your slave rather than you becoming a corporate slave and working for the whole life, right? So, how do you achieve a state of financial freedom? And the seed of that is sown when you are very young, just started working. And by the time you are in mid 30s, it is possible that you are financially free and you are working only because you like to work. And you don't have to work because you need to pay the EMI or you need to do this or that, right?
Yes.
That can be achieved only through a person who is able to guide you through the vicissitudes of the market. And that is where the role of a wealth manager is very crucial. And that is where I believe firmly that the potential is large across all the levels of scale of business.
Exactly. It's like when it comes to Indian markets, people are very skeptical when it comes to risking their money, and they are like, and there is a fear among people that अगर मैंने पैसा लगा दिया and पैसा डूब गया तो फिर मतलब it can be risky. So that's why uh, a lot of people don't risk their money. A lot of people don't have the knowledge of anything else.
So I would
So
simply say that it is um, some amount of caution is healthy, but excessive fear is not healthy.
yes,
Uh,
exactly.
Today, Indian markets are fifth largest in the world. Okay, and it all
Yes.
happened in front of your eyes over the
Yes,
last 20,
exactly.
25 years, right?
Yes.
And if you have not been able to partake of this wealth creation opportunity and you still choose to fear and stay away, only you can be blamed for it.
Yes.
The opportunity is vast.
Yeah, the opportunity is vast, and that amount of financial knowledge that people have, it's like the basic financial knowledge is also not taught in the schools. Like it is very important for everyone to learn about how to manage your finances right from the beginning when you start working. But uh, the education system also, it provides very less when it comes to financial knowledge in schools.
In fact, zero knowledge. I don't
Yeah.
remember having read about personal finance in school and in college at all.
Yes, yes,
I,
yes.
in fact, learned everything from the beautiful school of life and through the experience that I've garnered over the last 2.5 decades. But here is the deal. See, whenever you start something new about which you do not know much, but which is important, what do? There is one approach of trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. An error in capital markets and investments can cost you a lot. Therefore, you go to a second approach. And the second approach is to keep learning and take guidance from somebody who has been there and doing that for some time. Isn't it logical? I mean, you would
Yes, yes, yes.
you trust somebody to make sure that I don't make stupid mistakes. And in the process, you continuously keep learning from the coach as well as from somebody from your own experiences, right?
Yes.
In the world of for example, the capital markets and investments, all the people who are in this industry for decades, including our regulators, our bankers, you will find that they urge you to go to an investment advisor.
Yes.
They urge you to go to somebody who can guide because the product metrics is vast, the considerations are vast. It is not possible for a person to know about everything about it just like that. A, it is vast, and B, it is complex. Now, you may want it to be simple, but it is not. It is like if I have some disease, right? I don't try and trying to figure out what to do. चलो आज क्रोसिन ले ली, कल कुछ और ले लिया, परसों के लिए. You don't do that, right? You
Yes.
straight away go to a doctor and say that, hey, please help me. How do I come out of this? It is the same with managing your wealth. And the biggest mistake that I think people make is that you need a wealth manager only if you have wealth. That's absolute falsehood. You need a wealth manager particularly when you don't have wealth because you're on the path of creating wealth.
Yes.
Whether you do not have wealth, whether you are young, old, very old, whether you are in an accumulation phase or you are in a distribution phase, you need somebody to ensure that it is done in a most efficient manner for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are conventional ways of doing things. For example, अगर market समझ में नहीं आता है तो क्या करें? So you just go ahead and buy term deposits of banks. It sounds simple, but it's
Yes.
stupid because after tax, what you make is not even 3 to 4%. Now, in a market where your inflation is 6 to 7%, if you continuously make 4 to 5% for years to come, you have no idea how much money people have wasted, how much money has been lost in real terms. मतलब ये आपको theoretical लग रहा होगा, but it is very very real. If you don't understand the markets and you have some money lying around in your bank, just go ahead and buy some flat somewhere, some next door flat, some other building, right? Without recognizing that in the last 10 years, real estate has generated zero return. Or you buy a property worth 1 crore to get 15,000 rupees rent on that. So these are the kind of stupid decisions people end up making, and that damage their process of wealth management on a continuous basis. And now everything that is complex about capital market is also beautiful. The same capital market can give you access to some of the finest companies, finest businesses, finest securities, finest bonds in lowest possible cost to you. But you don't do it because A, you cannot learn it, you do not want to learn it, and B, because in India still there is not that culture of advisors,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and that is an important thing that is coming through in our industry. So we'll see it how it grows, but I think I hope I've been able to deliver the message that the scope is so vast that if you are able to bring it to your advantage as a professional, you will not only service your clients very well and with all your sincerity and intention, but also make a lot of money in the process.
Yeah. So it's like when we discuss about the older times, people were very skeptical. But now with the social media boom, I have seen a lot of people going ahead and investing and looking for wealth managers. So I guess the trend is shifting towards the advisors. Like people are looking for advisors for their wealth, and it is really great.
Yeah. And now, I have seen a trend over the last 3 to 5 years that actually people have started seeing. Actually, people have recognized because there are now so many platforms available, so many fintechs coming in the market. In general, the awareness has improved. That people
Yes.
know that there is something called equity market and stock market, mutual funds. These help you make money and help you manage your money better over the long period of time. But they took again a wrong route. They started trading on their own, right? Because it's so simple. Everybody thinks that they're a wealth manager, right? So they say, oh, let me buy a script A at 100 rupees. Its price now 103 rupees. बेच दिया 3 रुपया बना लिया.
Yeah.
It is not that simple.
Yeah, it is not that simple. It's like a lot of people have started trading in the period of lockdown, and yeah, it might have been beneficial for them. But when it comes to stock markets right now, it is like most of the people are trading with tips and tricks, and which is very risky, and a lot of like people are losing their money because of it.
Absolutely. So it is very important to get the process right. Okay,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter what wealth manager you choose, whether you try to do it yourself or वो भी हो सकता है ऐसा नहीं, it's not impossible. But first and foremost, it is important for you to have your financial objectives penciled. So, for instance, if I'm 25, 30 years old, I need to know what are my requirements of money over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Would I want to retire early? If I want to retire early, what is the kind of wealth corpus that I need? What are the various avenues that are there in the market that can offer something like that? So, it is not just about stock market. Wealth management is a much broader practice. Stock market is an important element of it, but it is not only about it.
Yes.
There are a wide variety of instruments from pension schemes to gratuity products, how to take good credit, okay, how to borrow wisely, under what circumstances should you take insurance, how much insurance is adequate, what pattern of insurance is good enough. So, so that you are protected, you and your family are protected all points in time, right? So, the point I'm trying to make is that it is very imperative for our investors to really understand that this is a service that everybody requires. Now, it is not so outpriced that you cannot afford it. So far as you have the right plan in place, right person with whom you can partner, I think this can be a very, very important stimulus in your life to get free.
Yes. So, my another question is about like when you started like working in the industry. Of course, you might have faced a lot of difficulties and lot of challenges. So, I just wanted to know about like, was there something like when you entered the industry, what was the biggest challenge faced by you?
Well, well, I think the biggest challenge that you face when you come from a smaller city or a smaller town in a large city like Mumbai is the first is essentially to adjust to its energy levels. And when you enter into the sector, uh, the learning is almost constant. You know, uh, you will find it very difficult to cope between the demands of a job and the demands of learning that are placed on you from time to time. And therefore, you need to have a very strong ability to absorb knowledge, absorb changes, absorb trends, not just within the industry, but across the economies, right? The biggest difficulty that I probably faced is that in pretty much most of the industries, there are very conventional molds which are put in place. That, for instance, certain roles are assigned to only graduates from very high profile management institutes, etc. And you may feel that you are getting slighted because of the past, right? But it is very important for you to understand that despite all those biases, there is a vast ocean to take advantage from, right? And so I felt that this is an industry where the need for learning was so high at all points in time that I found it difficult to cope up at times. That is the key difficulty I faced. The rest of the difficulties are by and large difficulties of life, less specific to this sector. They are the difficulties of life. But uh, India is going through a very massive change in the regulatory framework that we've adopted between, say, 1995 and 2020, right? In the last 25 years, the way our regulatory framework has changed is also amazing. The entire laws and the frameworks of how mutual funds should be run, how PMS should be run, how AIFs did not even exist. There was nothing like index fund, ETFs, nothing like that, just 15 years back. And now we have a very thriving ecosystem. We have complex derivative structures which have been put in place. There is a very strong supervision, strong norms governing the fund managers and investment managers. So there has been tremendous change, and by and we are lucky that all these changes are very good for the end investor, for the retail investor. It only reinforces their trust, and because of all these changes, there is a further probability of rising potential. As more and more people like you and me get more and more confidence and participate, this ecosystem is likely to get only larger. But that foundation of trust has been laid very strongly. But to lay the foundation of trust, so many regulatory evolutions keep changing that you have to keep learning from time to time. And that's a key capture. That's a key challenge that you have to capture.
So, the key to excel in this is to keep learning and keep improving. I guess that is for every industry. Like in every industry you go, you have to be open to learning things.
Absolutely. So, whether you are in technology, whether you are in automobiles, whether you are in healthcare, whether you are in finance, whether you are in investment management, the need to learn is constant. It is very important to have your own routine or structure that ensures that you keep learning, whether it is a dedicated 3 hours reading time, whether it is your own time when you are able to mull over certain issues, whether you're going to certain now you have so many platforms that give you very good guidances on various aspects. If you do not make this a part of your day to day life, you will find yourself outdated in no time,
Yes,
right?
and it is a fast moving world out there.
And fortunately, now the mechanisms to teach you are also infinite.
Yes.
I was looking the other day the kind of content that is developed on various platforms like YouTube, Google. It's amazing the kind of platforms that have come up.
Yes,
So
like it's like everything is readily available.
yes, it's just about you going and partaking it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to bring in our culture.
Yeah. And like how much does education play your MBA play a role in you getting into the industry? Like,
To be honest, not much. It is just like an entry coupon.
okay,
uh,
it's just like an entry coupon.
yeah, I always so when I was trying to get my MBA, one of the things that were told to us is that MBA is a passport to success. And I can tell you that today, after 2 decades, I can tell you that it's the biggest myth, if not an outright lie. Okay. Uh, what MBA can probably give you is a good foundation of a variety of subjects that you study during the 2 years program. It can give you an opportunity to interact with other smart people and build a network. But other than that, I do not believe that MBA adds any value in terms of your getting into this industry and then prospering. There are several professional certification programs which actually deliver a better return on investment, as I call it, as compared to a conventional MBA. And for example, a CFA or a CTA or ACCA, these are the various qualifications which focus a lot on a specific subject domain. Okay. And I have observed that several recruiters and corporates do give it a lot of weightage in the process of selection of a candidate. Because if you have a CFA charter, for instance, there is a very high probability that you have a good understanding of the fundamentals of finance. But if you are an MBA from some XYZ institute in some ABC town in India, it is no guarantee that you have any understanding of anything. Of course, I do not intend to disrespect the large institutions of our country who are offering very good programs, right? I have very deep respect for all the small, middle sized, large institutions who are trying to deliver good education to students. I'm talking from the perspective of a recruiter. And when a recruiter, in a recruiter's world, on a daily basis, they meet 15 to 20 people from a wide variety of institutions. Okay. And what they look for is a practical understanding of how things work. They don't expect you to be rocket scientists, but they expect you to know the basics right. Like what is an asset and liability, right? What is the significance of return on equity? This is not to be learned on the field. This you should learn in the college. But how different companies choose to derive that ROE is something that you observe in the market. Okay. So, to give you your answer in a little short version, very limited value addition from the conventional MBA program, but it does act like an entry system. Okay. But once you are here, you have to have a constant ability to learn and improvise yourself and get a good opportunities, a little bit of luck, in fact, a lot of luck also sometimes. and you get on the right track.
That's great. My next question is about the entry points in this industry. Like, if someone is aspiring to be a wealth manager, just like you, so he has to start somewhere, right? So, what are the entry points in this industry that one can begin with?
Well, there are several entry points. And see, our world now has moved from somebody who used to go out and recruit from colleges to somebody who is looking for certifications. It is very important that you understand that. Now, if you have good professional certification, it is in itself an entry point into the organizations. For example, if you go to NISM website, which is National Institute of Securities and Markets, or CIEL, which is Center for Investor Education and Learning, you will find professionally designed programs for you, and then they also assist you in getting placed in the organizations who need that very knowledge body in a candidate, right? So here the purpose is reversed. There is a job to be delivered, the content around that is prepared and delivered, and then you are absorbed, right? Now, once you are absorbed, of course, then come your personnel skills, your ability to work hard, your ability to get opportunities, everything plays. But this becomes a crucial entry point. So if I was a young guy who would want to get into something like this, I would look at qualifications like CFA, like CA, like CFP. These are the professions which give you good entry point into these large private wealth management houses.
That's great. Uh, Coming towards the end of the interview, I would like to ask for, like, uh, one piece of advice for all who, for everyone who wants to be you someday.
Well, I wish I could sort of summarize it in one sentence, and no, but I would definitely want to say certain things about how actually life pans out as you move. Um, the first and most important thing for us as individuals at all points in time is to take responsibility of our destiny. Okay, this is not to say that you will always succeed. This is not to say that flowers will be lying on your roads, but it is very important for you to take charge of your destiny. Oftentimes, you find people in uh, two, कहते हैं ना, जैसे two classes. The first are those who believe in luck, that luck will happen, and we will do something well, and things will move all well for us. Or I am such a bad luck guy. I am not born in the right family. Nothing will happen. So, anyways, nothing will happen. So, let it go. That is the first set of people who are absolute believers of luck. And then there are believers who only believe in hard work, right? Because ho na ho, I'll just keep working hard without thinking too much about it. Right? I would say life is a complex combination of two. Luck is important, but your luck is something that you would define at several points in time. When you will start identifying opportunities, and that will come only when if you are alert and agile and with a certain frame of mind. They call it the growth mindset. The moment you are in growth mindset, suddenly world becomes a place of so many opportunities. So my suggestion to you and to anybody who believes I can add any value to their life is to have a growth mindset, is to learn to identify opportunities, and never worry too much about luck, because in any case you cannot do much about it. uh, Find something that you're passionate about, and by and large, over a long period of time, if you stick to your passions and if you stick to good work, chances are that you will do well.
Thank you, Himanshu. And lastly, uh, it will be very helpful if you could share what like a regular day in your life looks like insights to a day in the life of a wealth manager. Like, how does it look like?
Well, my typical day is split in four parts, very straightforward. First part is for myself and my health. Second part is for my mind and my knowledge. Third part is dedicated to my clients and my business. And the fourth part is dedicated to myself and my families. My family, right? My kids, my larger friend circles, neighbors. So these are the four simple parts. It's not very complex actually. Now, if you just start putting things in perspective, the first day you start is, you start with a workout or you try to go for a walk. Maybe you meditate, maybe you do some yoga, whatever is your practice. So if you wake up at 6:37, the first 4 hours ideally you should give to yourself, because that is when you are agile, you are alert, and generally people don't call you at 8 a.m., right? Second half is where you try to absorb knowledge, you read, you try to learn. So if you're doing a course on, let us say, technical analysis, morning part is the best part, because that is the part when your learning ability is highest. You're not tired, you're not exhausted, right? The third part is essentially your work, your clients, and that take reasonably 4 to 5 hours of a day, at least in my case. And the last part is what I would call being with friends and families over dinners and stuff like that. So that's the typical day.
That's great. It was really great talking to you, Himanshu, and thank you so much for doing this. And I hope we do more such webinars and seminars in the coming future.
Sure. It
It
was a
was great
pleasure.
having you on board.
Pleasure was all mine, Rohan. Thanks for having me.
All right. All right, guys. I'll just sign off. All right. Goodbye. Thank
Goodbye.
you, Himanshu. Thank you once again.